questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank all of you for being here today. This is an important issue, and while I don't think that the current rule will help matters, I think it will make it worse. That being said, we have to work together, as I believe the ranking member said, to find out solutions. This is not just about bashing one administration or another. It's about trying to find answers together. So I'm going to start with you, Ms. Killo. In your testimony, you cite that the Clinton administration filed a brief in a Ninth Circuit Court case regarding state Medicaid agencies and payment rates. That brief submitted by the Solicitor General claims that the purpose of Section 1902A30A of the Social Security Act was to give states wide discretion to set Medicaid payments that are consistent with efficiency, economy, and access to quality care, and that the Secretary does not dictate what level of payments will be sufficient to provide for equal access to such care and services, nor does the Secretary require the states to adopt any particular procedure or methodology for determining whether payments are necessary to meet the general criteria in the statute. All that was a quote. Now, Section 1902A30A, also known as, they always confuse you. You got the code section, and then you have the statutory section that are not always the same, but it's the same section of the law, 42 U.S.C. 1396A, 30A, states that state Medicaid plans must ensure that provider payments are, quote, consistent with efficiency, economy, and quality of care, and are sufficient to enlist enough providers, end quote. Do you think what CMS is doing with these rules or with this rule violates what the law states and what the law intends? Putting your lawyer hat on.
Absolutely. Nothing in what CMS is doing is going to allow for making sure states have the discretion to provide that.
Right. And as many have said, the intent may be good, or what they're trying to do, because we need more workers. As Dr. Bouchon pointed out, we need more people getting their RNs. We need to go forward. We also need to look at other things. I was really intrigued with your testimony, Ms. Killingsworth, on technology and using technology and maybe trying to look outside the box. And that triggered, even though I have a whole list of questions here that we worked on ahead of time, it triggered a thought in my mind. And so I went and got them to pull out one of the last code sections I ever got when I was a member of the Virginia House of Delegates was to change zoning laws in Virginia so that we could put temporary family health care structures on property. So we waived all the zoning laws. If you meet the criteria and you've got somebody that needs help and you want to put, I hate to say it, but the Washington Post dubbed it as a granny pod, but it's a medical health facility, basically a small home in the back on your lot, waived all the local zoning rules if you're meeting this, and it has to be there temporarily. You can't leave it there permanently. Do you think something like that would help in alleviating some of the concerns? Because you can be with family members, as Ms. Barragan was saying, she's giving care to one of her parents who's got some Alzheimer issues. Do you think that might be helpful as one of the ways to figure out things outside the box as opposed to putting strict requirements on 80-20 for, 80% of the money coming from Medicaid has to go to the worker?
Thank you so much for the question. I do think there's a range of technologies, including the one that you spoke about, that would provide access to more cost-effective ways of supporting people where family caregivers can be involved, and you can leverage technology to also provide some of the supports that individuals need, and then really target those limited workforce resources in ways that better use those resources as well as the overall program resources.
And Ms. Killo, and this may not be your field, so just say so if it isn't, but do the rules currently allow for any reimbursement for such a structure to be placed in the backyard of somebody's home?
I don't believe so, but it brings to mind that creativity is placed within states to have the opportunity to build such programs, and they should be given the freedom to do so.
Yeah, I had less than 10% of the people that I have now that I represent in a much smaller area, and somebody just walked into my office one day and said, I got this idea. And the next thing you know, it's the law. Ms. Smetanka, what do you think? Is this something that would help?
Well, I mean, I certainly think that we should look at whole range of solutions and creative solutions to meeting the care needs for our individuals. But we need some basic care levels and basic standards.
Wouldn't it help if there was a little bit of Medicaid money that would help people stay at least with their loved ones even if they have to be put into a facility that's just outside the back door?
Certainly, we need to look at how Medicaid dollars are currently being spent right now and look at how they can actually meet the.
Figure out how we
the
can use
premise
the
of
same money
service.
more creatively. And I will say, Mr. Chairman, I know I'm over time, but one of the things I thought about at the time was I had small children, and if I had a stroke or something, I wouldn't want to be in a nursing facility, while many of them provide great things, but I'd want to be able to be there so that one of my sons or my stepdaughter could bring in that treasure they found in the backyard and show it to me. And so it's not just for the elderly, it's also for people that may have had something debilitating like that. I yield back.